Halloween, 6 strangers have been invited to a party. If they can stay up till dawn, they'll win $1 million each. The only catch is that they'll have to live through the night.
Let the games begin.
What's in there? Hey, I think I got something. Stephen, are you doing this?
No.
Carl and Lou here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's horror movie review time as we are looking at a movie I both thoroughly enjoy and thoroughly hate. Like, it's such a goddamn 50-50 movie.
Yeah.
It is, of course, House on Haunted Hill, the 1999 American supernatural horror film directed by William Malone. It stars Jeffrey Rush, the best thing about this movie. Famke Janssen, the second best thing about this movie. Taye Diggs, Ali Larter, Bridget Wilson, Peter Gallagher, and Chris Kattan. Let's quickly say this. As casts go, credit to them all. The majority know exactly what they're doing.
Have fun with it.
Some have fun. Some take that fun and go wild with it in amusing ways. Predominantly, I don't really have a massive problem with the cast.
Yeah.
Do you? You know, there's no one I thought was shit.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
point,
an important aspect, you know. It was produced by Robert Zemeckis and Joel Silver, and of course, it is a remake of the 1959 film of the same title, which was directed by William Castle, and features special effects by famed makeup artists Greg Nicotero and Dick Smith. Have you seen the original movie?
No.
No. Okay.
Not seen the original.
So there's no comparative there for you. I have, but a very, very long time ago. It's a remake, but it is what a remake should be. It's completely different.
Yeah.
It is completely different. And I will point out, and I want to get this out at the start, one of the things that drives me nuts about this movie is such a simple thing that you could say, get over it. But I just cannot get over this aspect. And this movie is called House on Haunted Hill. There's no house. That is not a house. That is a fucking multi-story asylum built into a cliff face. This is not a house. Also, it's not a fucking hill. Just because you go up something to get there does not make it a hill. Do we call Everest a hill?
Ugh, I do like the fact every time they mention the word house, you're like, not a house.
I couldn't help myself. It just annoys me so much because they've gone for this visually impressive looking building. They're already like, wait, they built an asylum into the cliff face. You see it from a distance and it looks like it's 50 stories high, almost down to the fucking sea level because it's built into the cliff. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And they're like, oh, the house.
Yeah.
Stop calling it a house.
It's an asylum.
Oh my goodness me. And of course, in 2007, the film was followed by a direct-to-DVD, so that tells you what we got next, called Return to House on Haunted Hill. We will get to that dross at a later time. This movie, I love it up to a point.
Yeah.
I think it's pure, stupid fun.
Yeah.
And then it is my go-to movie when I say to people, here's a film that just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Like completely lost its way and just went so stupid that it stops being fun because you're sitting there baffled about what the fuck is going on.
And hating the CGI.
Oh, God. And I know it's 1999, but I've seen movies earlier that hold up better than this movie does. And annoyingly, we watched them all quite recently, both films, to kind of do these reviews. And what really kind of bugged me was oh man, even the stuff I loved isn't as good as I remember.
Yeah.
Shit. And there's that aspect.
Yeah.
There's still stuff I love. But it's not quite as much fun as I remembered it being when I was younger.
Yeah,
you know?
I do remember that. Yeah, you watch it going, oh no, that's just a bit
Crap.
now.
Yeah, that line was a bit crap. That wasn't so much fun. Oh, but we'll get into it as we go along, I think. And we begin in 1931 with the patients of the Vannicut Psychiatric Institute for the Criminally Insane. Not a house. See? Revolt against the staff. The place is headed by the sadistic Dr. Vannicut, who is played by Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs, man. I mean, I see his name, my heart beats.
Yeah.
It's Jeffrey Combs. I mean, he's fantastic. He doesn't have much to do here.
No.
He doesn't.
A couple of scenes, isn't it?
Couple of scenes, but his fucking face is just enough to make me go, oh, cool.
Here we go.
I don't think he's got any dialogue.
No,
Any
it's just more
dialogue.
the visual, isn't it? The film being docked with the old style, like, I guess like a mirror, the reflecting mirror.
Yeah, and a little bit later on as well when he's kind of going around as a ghost. Anyway, the patients end up breaking out and start a fire which engulfs the building, killing all of the inmates but five of Vannicutt's staff. That's very important. This opening, I fucking adore it. It's actually something that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. We've had this before. One of the things in horror that always makes me feel comfortable is this idea of being... It's cult-based almost to a degree. It's similar to the cult thing, but like they're trapped and these patients are revolting and they're going to rape and murder you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very gritty. It's a very gritty scene. There's the part where he just looks up and the patient's there and he looks back down and you see behind him the shadows of all the other patients and they smash through the windows. They start killing. They're running around. Of course, in case you see a nurse having her clothes being ripped off, so you kind of know where that's going.
Pencil for the neck always got me.
And it's the part where they then switch to the camera that Vannicut was using and the patients are using it while... operating on him, that's horrible. It's horrible stuff. It makes you go, whoa, okay.
Strong start.
It is a strong start. In 1999, Evelyn Stockard Price, Famke Janssen, is in a pretty crap marriage to Stephen Price, Jeffrey Rush. He's an amusement park mogul, has earned a lot of money, famous the documentary crew is following around to show off his newest ride. And basically, they hate each other. Yeah. But they do it. It's every bit of dialogue between these two.
Bold,
it's everything they say is literally. It's like it's so cutting and so horrible. But check this. Obviously, you're like, well, why don't you just get divorced? And it's not as simple as that. She signed a prenuptial agreement.
Yep.
So if she divorces him, she'll get nothing. She wants him to do it. But then the prenup, obviously. And so on, that kind of aspect. So that's why they're still together, even though they hate each other. It is, they are brilliant together.
Like a sitcom, isn't it?
What a sitcom you watch with the shit they say to each other?
Oh, an adult one, but yeah, like the whole, like they're just stuck together now. Yeah.
So Evelyn wants to have a birthday party and she calls up Stephen and basically she watches a documentary on the house on Haunted Hill. I will not do it throughout this review, I promise. I'll try my hardest not to do it. But she watches a documentary in the bath and wants to have a birthday party there. Calls up Stephen and tells him to arrange it. And gives him a guest list. That's the idea. The thing is that he ends up... He decides, no, I'm not going to do this. And he shreds her guest list and decides to throw a surprise party where he invites a random group of guests. His plan was to kind of do a murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
But we see after he's done that and he leaves his office, we see the computer turn back on, the list deleted, and then new names are written. How do you feel about this aspect? Because basically, we'll tell you now, it's implied the house somehow...
Got into that computer.
Through electricity. Have a go.
I can't explain it because... I mean, that's a good visual of like, I think it's a good way of setting up that as tricksy as he is, he didn't actually do this list.
Yep.
And if he denies it later, or he has the audience know, he's not lying. We don't know these people. So I think it's more for us.
Is it though? And here's my problem. We just see the computer turn on and start typing. We don't know anything about this house or anything at this element.
No. They're trying to start to lead you towards a horror.
Well, something spiritual. Yeah, spiritual. Yes, absolutely. It's also here you get your first play of the song that was used in this film a lot, which is Marilyn Manson's "Sweet Dreams" are made of this. These are made of these.
Made of this.
Yeah, are made of this. The cover of Eurythmics, wasn't it? Yeah, Eurythmics' original version. It's Manson's cover. You know the fucking song.
Yeah.
The building's owner is Watson Pritchard, which is Catan, Chris Kattan's character. I quite like him in this. I like the fact that he's so matter of fact, this place is haunted, and just sticks to the line all the way throughout.
Yeah. But he's so nonplussed about it.
He's so nonplussed about it, it's hilarious to a certain degree. He's one of the people I think kind of just knew exactly what he was doing here and was like, I'm not going to take this too seriously. He's convinced the house is evil, having lived here as a child when it was converted to a private residence. So that's apparently what happened to this place. It's not so much an asylum anymore. It's converted to a private residence, except a lot of the lower floors, which apparently weren't. But
yeah, you can't dig too deep in this film, can you?
yeah, really don't. 5 guests arrive for the party. They are the film producer, Jennifer Jensen, which is Ali Larter's character, the baseball player or ex-baseball player, Eddie Baker, which is Tay Diggs' character, the former television personality, Melissa Marr, which is Bridget Wilson, Donald Blackburn, which is Peter Gallagher, a physician, he is a doctor apparently, and of course, Price himself and Pritchard. The guests obviously are not the ones Price invited, and neither the Prices actually know who they are. We do get a great opening scene. I do like a lot of the dialogue here where she accuses Stephen Price of doing it, and he's kind of like, oh. He does that whole thing. He's writing their names down, and he goes, I don't know, have the foggiest who any of are.
Yeah.
Like any of are. It's no one knows who they are there. And basically, the plan is this. Is an advertised theme of the night, and he's offering $1 million to each guest who remains in the house until morning. So basically, stay in the house overnight. $1 million. As simple as that. Yeah. And if someone should die throughout the night, their money is forfeited and you get their share. It's that aspect of things. Now, instantly, you're kind of like, okay, has he set this up to try and get rid of people and stuff like that? But because he doesn't know who they are, it can't be that aspect, can it?
No.
It's just a bit of fun for him. It's a bit of fun for him at the expense of his wife. And you'll see he kind of decorated and set up parts of the house to look scary and spooky and stuff like that. But the real scares are going to come from something else. As the building security system is mysteriously tripped. Get used to mysteriously things happening. Locks everyone inside. And it's a stunt that Price blames on Evelyn, and she blames it on him. She ends up retired. She doesn't want any part of this. There's a scene where like the window smashes, the glass ceiling smashes, and Tay Diggs' character Eddie saves her. She's quite mean to him as well. Yeah. She's such a bitch in this, but I love her for it. Yeah. I just love her.
As well.
Yeah, she looks fantastic. But earlier on, you kind of get an idea of the lack of subtlety this movie will have, as when this window at the top smashes, you get some sort of weird animalistic roar that accompanies it.
Oh, yeah.
And no one notices or mentions that. And it's like, was that just for our benefit?
Yeah, probably was.
And it's like, what, why? You'll find this actually a lot when they're exploring the basement areas, where you hear things, and we're like, can they hear that?
Yeah.
Or is that for us?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's just stupid then. Let's not have that aspect of thing. So Jennifer, Eddie and Pritchard end up searching the basement for the control panel. And it's quite a labyrinth down there. It's overtly meant to look scary.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a set.
Yeah.
And I'd go with it if it was more set up by Prices to be like an amusement park ghost train experience.
More like animatronics and things moving around and that,
The problem is not.
No.
This is the part that isn't been converted.
No. And you think there was some money behind this film.
And that's kind of like, okay, it all looks a bit silly. This is where we find out that Jennifer Jensen is not who she says she is. She confesses to Eddie that her real name is Sarah Wolf, and she was recently fired by the real Jennifer Jensen. So she took the invite thinking she'd get some money out of the kind of situation. Yeah. How this comes about is very frustrating. One of those really bad scenes in it. So this is when she decides she can fix some wiring. Turn the lights on in this house, this building, by simply reaching into the nearest hole where there's some wires and somehow twisting them together and turning the lights on. It's like, what?
No.
That's just absurd. But what's even more absurd is Eddie's like, well, you're clearly not a vice president then, because I've never met a VP who can do wiring.
Right.
And it's just like, wow, dude.
She's not even that old. And, fuck you.
Yeah, what kind of fucking impression is that? So, that aspect, he then proceeds to think she isn't who she says she is, and she admits it. There's a big fucking plot problem here. Why did she impersonate Jennifer Jensen? She did not know about the money until she got there. None of them did.
No.
So what was she thinking was going to happen? And here's the thing, right? Check this. My boss gets an invite to a party. And I'm like, well, I'm going to take the invite. what's going to happen at Tennant's party? And I pretend to be her. In theory, everyone's going to go, no, you're not, because we know who she is.
Yeah.
Like, none of that makes sense.
that's
There's
a
so
big
many
point now.
plot problems with that aspect. It implies she knew everything that was going to happen.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't think of that before.
But she couldn't have, because Price reveals all of that to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely baffling, right? It's it's a real plot problem for her character. Really, really strange. But she ends up losing Eddie in the bowels, and then she sees him and follows him, but he keeps ignoring her. She sees him then jump into a tank of blood. She tries to help him, but then gets dragged in herself, and the real Eddie turns up. It's first sort of ghostly experience that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're like, this ghost impersonated Eddie. And afterwards, she kind of plays it down. She doesn't really bring up the fact. After Eddie rescues her, they go back upstairs and she's all angry about the events. Wouldn't you kind of be like, whoa, I followed you? Like, we don't see the conversation she had with Eddie where she was like, I followed you, you jumped in here. Like, that's a big fucking thing, right?
They just kind of like...
Gloss over it.
Yeah, it's a lot of this film, isn't it?
Indeed. Probably the best scare in the movie involves Melissa. As she basically wants to film this event and stuff like that to somehow get back on TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
a line, isn't it?
It's a line. But she ends up going downstairs and filming all of Price's sort of crappy horror stuff, which is just like, here's a glass case with an half a horse and crap like that. But she ends up going into sort of a room that had a lab room kind of thing that has gurneys and things on it. And through her camera, she sees Dr. Vanica and a couple of nurses operating on a patient. So she looks up and there's no one there. She looks at the camera, they're still there. She looks up, no one's there. She looks at the camera, they stop working, and then turn to look at her in the camera.
Yeah.
That is creepy as fuck. Credit to them.
They did a good job on that.
Absolutely love that. And then you don't see her die. What you sort of see is like almost like a gust of rushing air forced towards you. You hear her scream, and her scream echoes throughout the house. I think that whole scene's very well done.
Yeah, I like it.
Very, very well done. I have no problem with that at all.
It as well.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a good impact of a scene.
I think it does. I think it really, really creeps me out. When they go to look for her, they just find a massive trail of blood in her camera, which they later on are able to view and sort of see her big, like you see her arm down and there's blood, and then she's sort of shaking, and then you sort of see her dragged off screen, and you hear her scream, which is a scream you heard, but they follow the blood trail and see like it went, and it's just bad dialogue where it's like, how did she get up there? And she's like, you can go up there. And she didn't disappear. She went into the house, because you see where like the blood ends and just ends.
Yeah, in the wall,
like,
isn't it?
she went into the house, and it's like, it's not a house. But anyway, but yeah, it's no, but it's just like, no, but who jumps to that conclusion?
Yeah. I mean, you can see she jumps to the wall, but maybe just a bit of line. Or maybe more kind of like, fuck.
Like what? Yeah.
Fuck.
It's a bit much, isn't it? Price visits his assistant, so he's got an assistant kind of watching him and all that to set up his games for the night. But when he visits him, he finds his face his entire face has been caved out, cut out.
Cut out. I like that.
It is, because he turns the chair around, it's gross, and it's a good practical effect.
And it's good to see Stephen Price kind of generally like. Oh,
He's shocked. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. That kind of aspect, because up to this point as well, he's also suspecting Evelyn. And Evelyn's retired and locked the door and stuff like that. He then sees on a camera, security monitor Dr. Vatican moving around, and what they've done is they've gone for kind of like a jerky movement, like he's an animatronic, almost moving like that. But then you do these sort of weird things where they move really, really fast.
Like a blurry face.
Yeah, and he's holding like a saw, and Bryson thinks, oh, he's going to go attack Evelyn. Yeah. That aspect of things. He thinks he's going to go attack Evelyn, so he thinks he has to save her. When they get to Evelyn's room, they find it completely trashed and stuff like that. And then the electricity starts to go out and shake and stuff like that. They follow it to the electroshock therapy room, where they find Evelyn tied to it and being electrocuted. That aspect. She seemingly dies. They stop it. It's quite a frantic scene, because they're trying to stop the power and the electricity, and you've got that buzz noise. It's quite panic-inducing. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. She acted quite well that she's actually dying. To say to fake that, to go through all that, it's quite a lot of.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to that aspect of things, to a degree. I don't love it in that way, because he takes the mask off her after when blood drips out of her mouth, and Price is pretty upset about it. It's pretty upset about the fact that, and he actually accuses someone else, because he said, as he puts it, I know I fucking didn't do it, so one of you did it. It's as simple as that to him. I know I didn't do it, so one of you must have done it. And he wants to know who killed his wife. They managed to knock him out. That Eddie knocks him out, and they lock Price in what's called a saturation chamber, which is it was used to treat schizophrenics, and basically it's disorientation. It's spinning imagery really, really, really fast. It looks like an amusement park ride.
Yeah.
You know, where you're kind of spinning and like you're stuck like that. It looks like design. It looks vomit-inducing.
Yeah, I like the idea of it though, because obviously that kind of backward thinking of, oh, if you like distort the brain, the outs, like you distort the image that they're seeing, it might switch their brain back round again.
We often can understand and see what ideas were meant to be done through these sort of things, even if they are archaic and out of time and touch and stuff like that. They don't turn it on though. Blackburn, they just lock him in it, and Blackburn's like, I'll stay here to guard Price.
Yeah.
But that's because we're about to reveal Blackburn's true role in this. Now, I must say, I actually like Peter Gallagher in this. I do like Peter Gallagher. I like Peter Gallagher in most things. So he's good to watch. But when the others leave, he then proceeds to turn on the machine and leaves Price to be tortured by the images. And we kind of get an image of what Price's experiences in there. The spinning imagery, the weird stuff. It's kind of got this weird, almost film noir effect to it.
I liked it.
Yeah, but I also like the fact that while we experience it and then we kind of zoom out, it's just a spinning room with Price curled up in a ball on the floor. Like, I really, really like that aspect of things.
Yeah, because you don't normally see that Stephen Price in that kind of position. You know, he's a big brash money maker. He does like this kind of like.
Up to this point, he was so confident, suave. He was so in control. It is a difference.
Yeah, and you when he gets put kind of like taken down a peg or two and just kind of like tortured in there.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. But are you ready for some reveals? Because in Vanekit's office, Sarah and Eddie find a portrait of the hospital's head staff. Remember I said at the start, 5? It was quite important. Yes, they realise the party guests are descendants of the 5 survivors of the 1931 fire. And Pritchard deduces that the spirits hacked the guest list on Price's computer. Listen, sometimes we said you just got to go, fine. All right, fine. All right, I mean, you lot are convinced this is a house.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just going to, whatever, you know, it's stupid, fine. But already you're like, and if you're following the movie along, you're like, well, you'd be like, well, no, because that's not Jennifer Jansen. So that can't be the descendant already.
That's,
Yeah.
that's a tricky one, isn't it?
But in addition as well, Blackburn, he's not a descendant of any of the stuff. And they actually acknowledge that and find, well, Blackburn's name's not here. Yeah. Why is Blackburn here? That's because he's Evelyn's lover. She's been having an affair. And of course, if she found that out, Price would be able to divorce her.
Yep.
And that would be the reason why she'd get nothing. Yep. Nothing. And they faked Evelyn's death, plotting to frame Price for the murders, hoping that one of the other guests would kill him in self-defense.
Yep.
It's fucking elaborate.
It is.
And it requires so much to go right that you'd argue this is never going to go right. And it doesn't, but not to the kind of level that it does.
Yeah.
You know? Not quite, you know, how it works. So they think, like, okay, well, it must have been that. They kind of talk about it like, well, no one's killed him yet, and we've done this and all that kind of thing. They're thinking they have to push him. So Evelyn decides they can push him, and she can frame Price by killing Blackburn. She just stabs him to death, and then releases Price, and he's so delirious and such a mess, she's able to get his blood covered on him and stuff like that. And when Sarah, they find Blackburn's body, they find his head, they open up the chamber where Price was, and Blackburn's head's now inside it. Yeah. So it does quite look like Price was involved. And they hear what sounds like a woman crying, and they think it was the other one, but it's Price kind of like, I don't know why he's making that noise, but
he's weird.
It's like, yeah, like that kind of thing.
See some things.
Yeah, he staggers out, he's covered in blood, Sarah's got a gun, and she ends up shooting him. She shoots him several times in the chest. And he's dead. I mean, I know she's not used to a gun, so maybe she doesn't understand, but like, you shoot someone in the chest, there should be blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't.
Quite famously, it's where your heart lives.
I mean, he even falls and lies on the floor, and there's no blood on his chest. And you can kind of quickly deduce, like, if you're watching the film, you're like, he's probably got a bulletproof vest on, hasn't he? He probably has.
Look at him.
Yeah. But that's not for now. That's for later. Yeah. And that's kind of fine. Eddie and Pritchard arrive. They bring Sarah upstairs. And Evelyn, having seen these events, approaches Price. And she's all glowing and shit like that. She changed into this really, like, gothic dress as well at this stage. It's good to look. I mean, Famke Janssen is one of the 2 best things in this movie. Yeah. So I'm not knocking that at all. But, of course, Price grabs... It is a good scene as she's kind of leaning over him. And she says... she says something about...
I loved about you is your money.
Yeah. And he reaches up and grabs her by the throat.
Yeah.
And he's like, why didn't you say that all along? Or something like that. Yeah. And it is. And he's overacting here. It's insane. Where he's just all slapping his head kind of thing. The thinking is all like that. It's great.
Good acting.
It's good acting. He throws her around and he's attacking her and stuff like that, and they're scuffling. And he ends up throwing her through a Pacific door that's all decayed and things like that. Here we go. Things are about to go off the fucking wall in regards to shitness. This room is the heart of the house, or the where the evil was kind of kept hidden or trapped. Now, we did see the door early on, and you saw like these little black tentacles at the door. But with it busted open, inside, it initially looks cool because basically it's the ashes of victims and stuff like that. It's like a room that's just filled with ashes and horrid and stuff like that. But it's where the darkness lives. And then it starts to move. And it is a shape-shifting creature, smoke monster, comprised of the spirits in the house. And it looks like wank. Yeah. It looks so fucking bad. And when it touches you, apparently it consumes you and you turn to dust and become part of it. And it grabs Evelyn and it just looks so bad. And you're just like, is this seriously what we're doing now?
Especially because after some of the special effects we've seen, inventive and fun and gory and over the top, to just go back to... You should go forwards. You shouldn't go back to like a CGI frigging monster. Ugh, it's from this point on, you just constantly going, oh, good God. Don't show that again.
Price backing out, freaking out, discovers Melissa's body all cut up, kind of thing, and he ends up running up the stairs trying to escape this black smoke, which slowly follows him. He comes to a door and he starts banging on it. The others are all like, wait, we thought he was dead.
Yep.
But Pritchard ends up opening it, and this is where the darkness then gets him. Price then runs and follows and tells him, look, we've got to escape and we can go via the attic.
Yeah.
No one mentioned attic beforehand, but fine. The darkness follows them. See, to get some sort of action scenes where it goes under the ground and starts smashing up through the hall, and you have to keep smashing and stuff like that. The effect's fine. Yeah. The problem is you're sort of sitting there, and it's almost you feel your brain beginning to dissipate and ooze and out your ears, and you're like, this is just getting dumber and dumber by the minute. Yeah. Like, this is just getting dumber and dumber.
There's extra dumbness to it.
But they end up in the attic. We get some sort of scene when it starts to talk to them as well and stuff like that. When the smoke starts to talk to them, you know, in the voices of some of the people there. Yeah. Anyway, up in the attic, Price manages to open a window in the attic, and I did like the fact that I can't remember what he says so much for the college for the fucking PhD or something when he accidentally just throws a thing and knocks open the device. Yeah. I did like that line. Yeah. It's Jeffrey Rush is the best thing in this movie. Yeah. But he ends up saving Eddie and Sarah from being killed by pushing her out of the way, and he then gets consumed by the monster. Sarah manages to get out, but the smoke cuts the rope somehow, and Eddie is trapped inside. And it gets in its face. For some reason, it does that whole villain thing of, I'm now going to take my time. I'm going to chill out. And it's going to assimilate Eddie. And this is where you get like these horrible CGI faces where it's like Dr. Vanica. It's someone saying to Eddie, oh, Eddie, and stuff like that. The doctor is in. Yeah. Oh, what's going on? Eddie shouts that he was adopted. So, okay.
Fine.
I mean, here's the thing, that's fine, because we've already got the Jennifer Jackson. I mean, none of it makes any sense. Right. So obviously he's not a descendant of the original staff, but check this, Eddie's dead, right? No. As Pritchard's ghost appears and then opens the iron gate, allowing Eddie to get pulled out in time, and the light hit the darkness, and it goes, oh, that kind of thing. And if you're still watching this stage, bravo, because you're at the end of the movie, so thankfully I haven't got to switch it off, but seriously, everything about this, Pritchard got assimilated by the darkness. Yeah. Why has he got a spirit walking around a house then? Like, I don't understand the rules here. No. They
just throw so much in.
Like, why? How can he be a ghost? Yeah. How can this ghost then interact with a physical object? Yeah. Why and how? Why aren't there other ghosts in the same vein as him? Because not everybody was a villain in it. Yeah. So it's like, well, Pritchard wasn't a descendant of the house, so he became a ghost. But he got assimilated. But Evelyn wasn't. Where's Evelyn's ghost? Yeah. Evelyn wasn't. No. It's just absurd. Yeah. It's so fucking bad. Pritchard's ghost and the darkness fade away as Sarah and Eddie watch the sunrise, and they find an envelope on the ledge which contains all 5 checks made out to cash. So they're rich as well. Because check this thing out. You're going to go try and cash a check in the name of the now disappeared Price.
Yeah, it's not going to look great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's not like it's a fiver. It's quite a lot of money.
And also, like, it might be made out of cash, but I imagine there are very few banks we can go and, can I please cash just $5 million worth of checks in cash, please? It's just one of those where we have this ending where they're like, ha, 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 you know? As well, like, you know, they're at the very top, and it's like, oh, how are we going to get down? And that's how it ends. Yes. You know, there's a post-credit scene.
Is there?
There is. We missed it. I have watched it since.
Oh, yeah.
It is simply this. A black and white film is shown, depicting the spirits of the 1931 patients torturing the prices for eternity.
Oh.
It's all right. It's kind of thing that takes you back to the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Problem is, you've just gone through so much of a slog to get here.
Yeah.
The last 20 minutes of this movie are just absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. But I wanted to add some things that I found out about it.
Oh, okay.
Which are scenes that were cut.
Oh.
There was a lot cut from this movie. Indeed. An exposition scene in which Sarah Wolf, Ali Larter's character, is fired by her boss, Jennifer Jansen. Jennifer Jansen was going to be played by Debbie Mazar, but obviously wasn't in the movie in the end.
Yeah.
The feisty vice president of Washington. So that scene actually existed where she get fired. 2 versions of the scene were shot, both taking place in a film set where Wolf hands Jensen a big bag delivered for her. Inside is a music box with a jack-in-a-box trigger which cuts the handler's finger. Jensen throws the box into the garbage and Wolf discovers the invitation to Price's party inside. This is why, now I didn't notice this, this is why in the final cut of the film, Wolf hesitantly introduces herself to Price's Jennifer Jensen.
Ah, okay.
In the final cut of the film, she later confesses to Eddie Baker about posing as Jensen in order to receive her $1 million. But details surrounding the circumstances in which she received the invitation are obviously not revealed.
Yeah.
Because it was cut.
Yeah.
Another scene removed from the film last minute, according to the director, was a scene in which Wolf falls through a collapsing floor when she and Baker are being chased by the darkness. Okay. After falling 2 stories below, Wolf awakens in a subterranean crematorium filled with the ashes and corpses of the hospital's dead patients. There she's attacked by reanimated corpses who rise out of the ashes, terrorizing her and tearing off her overcoat. This is why, because that scene is removed, there remains a continuity error in the final cut of the film in which Wolf's overcoat disappears from her body in between shots. And I didn't even notice it.
Oh wow, it's quite a big one as well.
It's interesting because in Return of the House on Haunted Hill, they would kind of try to do that shot in it.
Oh yeah.
A final epilogue scene completing the Jennifer Jensen story arc was also filmed, featuring Jensen arriving at a house with a realtor which claimed she inherited it. As she enters the front door, a blood-curdling scream is heard and the realtor is revealed to be Dr. Vanniket. Director Malone said the scene ultimately was removed after the cutting of Jensen's exposition scene, as well as for having a comical tone that did not fit with the rest of the film.
Oh, okay.
If you've already removed the other Jensen stuff, remove it. Fine.
Makes sense.
However, to turn around and say, no, that makes the movie too corny or silly or comedy-based. Did we just fucking watch? Did you just watch your own film back, man? The last 20 minutes for the absolute absurdity of it all. Fucking joke.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to do a comparative to the original movie. No. I think these are 2 completely different films and just enjoy them for what they are. I think there's so much about this 1999 film you can enjoy.
Yeah.
I think first and foremost, you can enjoy the acting and the characters.
Yeah.
We started by praising Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen, and we're going to end by praising them as well. They are brilliant. Jeffrey Rush is doing a version of Vincent Price. Obviously, Vincent Price was in the original movie. And he overacts at certain points, but it's so fucking fun to watch. Yeah. If you already like Jeffrey Rush as an actor, which I do, you'll enjoy this incredibly.
Yeah, I don't know much what... Top of my head, I can't picture what he's been in. Loads of films that he's been in. But I do really enjoy watching him. Mm-hmm. And... yeah, the fact they made him like a roller coaster, like a tycoon almost, isn't it? A theme park tycoon. And...
I mean, our introduction of him, we didn't mention it. Our introduction of him is his tricking a camera crew with one of his rides, which is where you go up in an elevator to start a roller coaster at the top, but on the way up it acts like the elevator is now dropping.
Yeah.
And it's his wing, it's like his eyebrows at the end of it, and he was like that, you know? That aspect. The roller coaster itself was stupid because apparently the roller coaster has been designed for it to come off the tracks and then somehow still land perfectly back. Don't get me started on that rubbish. Yeah. But that's our introduction to him. So instantly it's kind of, you're kind of taken, dare I say, you're almost a little bit seduced by him. He's a seductive character.
Yeah. He's charismatic.
Charismatic as fuck, absolutely. And I completely get that. Whereas Famke Janssen oozes sex appeal in this movie. Yeah, definitely. She's a very, very sexy character, but also very, very scary.
Yeah.
Because she is tough as balls. And not tough in the kind of I can beat you up way.
Just
in the way kind of like
you would
probably hurt me.
Yeah.
Like, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to talk to you because you're going to make me feel bad about myself,
Yeah.
you know? And I love that aspect of her. While there isn't a lot of character depth to the others, Ali Larter is basic in this, and I don't really rate her as an actor either. Tay Diggs, there's not much to him either. Peter Gallagher, there's not much but meat to the bones.
But I
think it's okay.
It. Yeah.
I think it's okay because ultimately we could almost see this as, and this is how this film really should have been all the way through, an amusement park ride.
Yeah. You don't know people that you go on the ride with.
You know, you've got stupid scares and all that, and it is to a degree at times. But I reckon you should have really leaned into that, you know? And there are elements as well where it generally does have horror in it, from the opening segments to the Melissa part with the camera.
Yeah.
To some of the more, even some of the later elements, the sound effects, the lighting, the imagery, it does work in that aspect.
The hallucinations at price scenes.
Oh, the price part is
pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Really, really dark. And the part he's underwater and he's like a faceless demon that ends up getting him at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's some great imagery in it. The problem is that's not what you remember.
No.
You just don't remember that. What you remember at the end is CGI smoke monster. And you're just going, what the fuck happened? And what I don't... So you just sort of go, I don't get it. I don't get this. And here's a good example. Later in the movie, at the very end, when the smoke monsters, the spirits, are talking to Eddie, you'll see Vaneket's face in it. How was Vaneket walking around the asylum earlier on in the movie as a ghost then?
What is it? Yeah, what is it?
What is it? If he can come out of that room as part of the darkness, because that's the thing, it implies the darkness is trapped in that room. How?
Yeah. It's a fucking ghost.
How can it... What, doors stop it?
Yeah. It's pretty shit darkness, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we see it dissipate into the floor later on, and then comes smashing up. But then, again, later on, it only gets on the attic because it comes through the gaps.
Yeah.
So it's solid?
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous stuff. And just makes you... It just ruins your enjoyment of the movie. Me personally.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. I hate it so much. And I hated it back then. I hate it just as much now.
The shift in it.
It's such... Yeah, that's it. It's such a tonal shift.
Yeah.
Can you stop having fun?
Yeah, I'd like to have seen more of the... Make up more of the treatments. Like, you had the spinning room. Why not have more?
Yeah.
Like, show more of that.
Just do ghosts.
Yeah.
We had ghosts at the start.
Yeah.
Just do shadowy figures and ghosts and do that fast shaking head stuff you love to do and all that aspect. Don't be doing... I mean, I don't know if it was they didn't know how to end it. They needed it. I just don't get it. No. And I don't like it. No. I really, really don't like it. If you've never seen it, I know it sounds like it's worth avoiding because of that. Do go check it out.
It's just cheesy. Because
there's so much fun to be had throughout a lot of the movie. And here's the thing. I kind of want you to watch the smoke monster part, the last 20 minutes, just to kind of gauge how you feel about it. Because we're very passionately against it. Yeah. But I'd be very interested to talk to someone who's like, listen, no, I don't mind it. And why? Because I'd love to hear a kind of decent reason as to why it doesn't, you know, you could say, well, look, because I think the best argument you could have is if you think the first half is shit. You know, well, it's shit all the way through. Because I don't think that. I think the first half is good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah.
You know? But ultimately, when I think of House on a Hill, positive, I just think of Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen. Yeah. They are the reason to watch this movie. Definitely. And I think, hilariously, the non-scary parts are often the best bits.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Absolutely. House on Haunted Hill, 1999 remake. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?